This is Football Night in America, built by Lowe's.
Welcome to the Football Night in America podcast for Week 16. We are the gift that just keeps on giving. Congratulations on making it back here to join us again. Maria Taylor, Matthew Berry, Mike Florio, Peanut, Devin McCourty, and Jason Garrett here with you. It's your new nickname.
He's out of control.
Moving forward. Guys, let's start with the game that we were all watching as the show was going on, the Steelers and the Lions. And since we're going to start with a little bit of a negative slant, I'm going to start with you, Florio, on what's wrong with the Lions.
I'm filled with Christmas cheer.
You define Christmas cheer differently than I do.
Relative to my usual disposition. The Lions miss Ben Johnson. It's that simple. Look at what he's done for the Bears. Look at what has happened to the Lions without him. Look at what Dan Campbell's had to do. He's intervened. He took over play calling. It worked at first, and then it didn't. And they just seem to be struggling to recapture the magic that they had for the first time in 15 straight games when they had an opportunity to avoid 2 losses in a row. They got 2 losses in a row. And now they're barely hanging on. And I think that job number 1 in the offseason, all due respect to John Morton, but obviously he had the play calling duties taken away for a reason. They need to find somebody to come in and run that offense.
Yeah, I think the first thing is Detroit has to figure out how do they keep getting so many injuries. The injuries in football, nothing's more important than the health of your team. The team you build, the guys you want on the field, we get it. Injuries happen, but it's like back-to-back years where you look and it's just like, man, everybody that they wanted out there, they plan to have out there, they're not out there. And then the second part is, like you said, I thought when Dan Campbell took over play calling, when they were still top 2 in the league in scoring, I thought it created a little bit of a panic. Like, things aren't well, and it was just like, no, guys, you're still good here. I thought they should have just stuck to the plan, stuck to it, and if things went sour, then try to make a change. I thought they did it too early, and that's not really their style, and I felt like they've been off ever since that move, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, it has more to do with the personnel they have. They were so dominant on the offensive line the last couple of years. Ragnow retires, Zeitler goes to Tennessee. You lose these guys. They had 4 first-round picks on that offensive line, and they just dominated people up front, and that's where it all started. The offense, you know, they were aggressive. They made a ton of plays in the passing game, but when they were at their best, they ran the ball, play action. They got big chunks off of that. And Ben Johnson was making those calls. He certainly has been someone they're missing. He's a fantastic coach. We know that. The other injuries. But I think up front, they're not quite the physical team that they've been. And not only that allowed them to get ahead in games, it allowed them to close games out for the last 3 years. And to me, that's been the biggest absence.
Yeah, Coach, just to echo that, I mean, I would say on both sides of the ball, I think this is an unbelievable stat from this game. The Steelers had 230 rushing yards in this game. The Lions had 15. You have a team with Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery, and you have 15 rushing yards. Now, I get it. You talked about the injuries and the losses on the offensive line. They were down to their 3rd-string center by the end of this game. But still, when you can only get 15 rushing yards, and some of that was game script, they were down and they had to keep, they had to throw, but to throw their way in. But to me, I think it's the physicality on both sides of the line, and I also think it's the defense, Devin. They're so beat up on defense, but they haven't been able. Florio mentions they miss Ben Johnson. I think they also miss Aaron Glenn as well. The Steelers put up 481 total yards. That was a season high. Like, for all there's a lot that's right with the Steelers, but the Steelers haven't been a high-flying offense this entire year, right? I mean, they've kind of grinded out wins, and they put up 481 yards. And credit to Pittsburgh. 251 yards passing, 230 rushing. They were completely balanced, unlike the Lions, who they had to throw a bunch. Jared Goff was under siege. He was sacked 3 times, felt like he was constantly under pressure. They did a good job of stopping Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams. Like, they were trying to get production from, like, Khalif Raymond just because all their stars were clamped down by Pittsburgh's defense.
And as it relates to the Steelers, it bottomed out for them 3 weeks ago when they lost at home to the Bills. They were embarrassed. They were booing during Renegade. They were chanting Fire Tomlin. And since then, it's just been one win after another. It seems like a completely different team now.
Yeah. What Tomlin say? Don't blink. They haven't blinked.
Don't blink, yeah. No victory Monday. We're just going to go back. We're going to watch the film. And so for the 19th straight season, they'll be 500 or better. They're still in control of the AFC North right now as we speak.
Rodgers played great.
And Rodgers played great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jaguars. They also played great on the road. against the Broncos. The Broncos had won 11 straight games, and for some reason, the Jaguars are unstoppable. Trevor Lawrence looks like a completely different quarterback under Liam Cohen in year 5, and we're just seeing the progression. It seems like every week here, Jason, during their 6-game winning streak, that he improves every single game.
Yeah, and Trevor's talent has been obvious to everybody since he came into the league. That's why he was the first player taken. But to me, he's been a flash player up until this season, meaning he's making these amazing plays, but then he makes the bonehead decision, throws the interception, doesn't look good one particular week, whatever it's been. And Liam Cohen has gone in there and I think instilled so much confidence in him. And I think, I don't want to call him a young quarterback, but for guys as they're trying to reach the prime of their career, sometimes they don't really know what's good. And you have a guy like Liam Cohen constantly reinforcing Trevor about being aggressive, taking shots, using your legs, but then, hey, check it down. They just seem like they're on the same page. His decision-making has been excellent. I was surprised by this. Not so much because of Jacksonville, just because Denver's been so good on defense at their place. And for them to go up there and have a dominant offensive performance, I was shocked.
I think it's how you explain Ben Johnson in Chicago. This team believes in what they're doing, and it's complementary football. It's not like when they win, it's like we walk away and we say, hey, they only won because their defense dominated, or they only won because the offense made big plays. It's always this kind of team atmosphere. Yes, Trevor Lawrence playing clean helps, but then defensively, getting turnovers, getting stops, it just feels like they understand how to play the game together. And when one side makes a play, all right, we got to get another play here on this side, and that's how you play winning football, especially in the playoffs.
Especially with a quarterback, though, when you look at how they come into the league, the first question is, do they belong? Do they pass the eyeball test? Are they on the pass side of the pass-fail line? And Trevor Lawrence clearly was. And then the question is, where's his ceiling? And we felt like we had gotten to his ceiling. We felt like he had plateaued, and it's just who he is, a guy who's going to make a mistake or two every game. Can they overcome it? And then, boom, all of a sudden, the past several weeks, he's been flawless. He's been incredible. He puts up the historic performance against the Jets. And they go into Denver where it was ridiculously loud, and the Broncos are riding that winning streak, and all the momentum's in their favor. And they're up 14 points in the fourth quarter. They hold on to win the game, and now the Jaguars are in position. How they could be the number 1 seed in the AFC. It's amazing to think that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the reasons Liam Cohen was hired, former offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was fix Trevor Lawrence. We know the talent, right? But then, he's had, for a fifth-year player, he's had a number of offensive systems, a number of coaches that haven't worked out for various reasons in Jacksonville. And credit to Liam Cohen, who comes in here. This is the 8th straight game that the Jaguars have put up at least 25 points, right? And so, to your point about Lawrence, I think what's so impressive here is okay, it's one thing to beat up on the Jets, right? And some of the teams they've played haven't been that great. But to go into Denver, into the number 1 seed in the AFC, and dominate the way he did, I mean, he looked great. And I also just think, just in general, not all the headlines are rightfully so about Trevor Lawrence, but I also think that Liam Cohen has integrated Jacoby Myers, adjusted when they lost Travis Hunter for the year. I mean, he has done a lot, and this defense is playing well. Bo Nix was under pressure. Bo Nix's QBR in this game was 30, which is a metric on a scale of 1 to 100. 100 obviously being the best. He did not play well, right? Denver, the league's best defense, didn't get a turnover with the Jags, got 2 turnovers. Bo Nix fumbled and threw an interception as well. So credit to Liam Cohen, who should be one of the favorites for Coach of the Year after this weekend, and it's an unbelievable story for the Jaguars.
Yeah, it's interesting. With the outcome of this game, the Jaguars just sprinkling a little spice on the race to the 1 seed, and to break it all down and help us understand the 6 teams that are still in the hunt. Let's bring in Steve Kornacki. What are we looking at right now for the last 2 weeks, Steve?
Well, Maria, how about this? There are 6 teams still in the mix for that number 1 seed in the AFC, although as we'll show you here, we may be testing the limits of what it means to be in the mix with some of the scenarios we're going to show you. But 6 teams here sort of going in order, starting with the Broncos at the most plausible to the Texans at the least plausible. And let's just start with the Broncos because this could be very simple. The Broncos right now at 12-3. If they win out, if they beat the Chiefs, if they beat the Chargers, it's that simple. They're the number 1 seed. Nothing else that anybody does on this screen matters. But Take a look at that Broncos schedule. I know they did, we'll see what happens on Christmas, but for the sake of argument, let's say the Broncos beat the Chiefs, but they lose that Week 18 game against the Chargers. If that were to happen, the Broncos would finish at 13-4, and that would open the door to the other teams you see here. First in line would be the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots are playing the Ravens as we speak, so you may know the outcome when you watch this, but the Patriots would have to beat the Ravens and would have to beat the Jets and the Dolphins to finish the season. That would get them to 14-3. If the Pats were 13-4 and the Broncos were 13-4, Broncos have the tiebreaker. So the Pats need to finish ahead of the Broncos. That's how they would do it. Now, if the Broncos slip up and the Patriots slip up, let's say they were to lose to the Ravens or drop one of these other two games, then next in line, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. If the Jags were to beat the Colts and the Titans and they were to finish at 13-4 in this scenario, remember, we just saw them beat the Broncos today. They have the tiebreaker. Number 1 seed becomes the Jacksonville Jaguars. But let's say the Jacksonville Jaguars also slip up. Maybe they lose to Phillip Rivers and the Colts. Maybe they lose to the Titans. Stranger things have happened. Then the Chargers are next in line. Remember, the Chargers play the Broncos a Week 18. If they were to win that, they'd have a sweep of the Broncos for the regular season. That would be the tiebreaker over them. They'd also have to beat the Texans. But the Chargers then at 13-4, they would become the number 1 seed in the AFC. But now, let's really have some fun. Let's get to the Buffalo Bills. How could the Bills emerge with the number 1 seed? Okay, well, first of all, obviously, they have to get to 13-4. But the Bills at 13-4 also have to make sure that they win the AFC East over the Patriots. So how do they do that? They need the Pats to drop a game, but not just any game. Has to be one of these two, the Jets or the Dolphins. The 2 AFC East games left on the Pats slate. That's how the Bills would catch the Pats with the tiebreaker in the AFC East. And then with all these other teams losing, the Buffalo Bills would be the number 1 seed. And then let's erase this and start fresh to get to the most complicated, the Texans. The Texans with 5 losses, the best they could do is 12-5, but the Texans would have a bunch of tiebreakers if it ever came to that. So you see the Texans, how do they get every other team to 5 losses? They play the Chargers, so they have a chance themselves to hand the Chargers a 5th loss. They'd need the Bills to drop one of these two. Maybe it's the Eagles. Bills would have their 5th loss. They'd need the Jags to drop one. Maybe it's the Colts, maybe it's the Titans. They would need the Patriots to drop 2 of their remaining 3 games, and they would need the Broncos to lose not just to the Chargers, but also to the Kansas City Chiefs to finish at 12-5. And then, and only then, would the number 1 seed in the AFC be with about a 0.2% chance, something like that, like a snowball in Key West. Those are their chances. They're Houston Texans.
Oh, my God. Steve Kornacki.
Well done.
My brain is over here about to explode, and you're not even sweating. You're like, this is just my Tuesday. I was just mapping this out in my head 2 seconds ago.
So you're
That's
telling
incredible.
me there's a chance.
There's a chance.
There's a chance.
Houston Texans fan.
Yeah, there's a chance.
Can I just say my favorite part of the season is when Steve Kornacki joins the show, and my mind is no longer littered with playoff scenarios.
Yeah.
It saves so much of our
Free your
time.
mind, Maria. Free your mind.
Free my mind.
Because it would be you. It wouldn't be us.
And it wouldn't be me. It would be someone else. It'd be ChatGPT. All right, it's time now to earn your Sunday presented by Lowe's. And guys, we're going to do a Christmas list. We had a gift behind us when we first started the show. What would be your Christmas gift Super Bowl matchup? The 2 teams you would like to see the most. Commanders are not in it.
Yeah, I know.
So cut it out.
Commanders versus Commanders is always my dream Super Bowl. The one that I would like to see, not the one that I think is most likely, but the one I would like to see, give me the Bills and the Lions. 2 fan bases that are desperate for a Super Bowl title. Neither team has won a Super Bowl. One of them would walk away with it. 2 great fan bases that deserve a title. That would be a lot of fun. Buffalo, Detroit.
This one's in honor of my dad, and he's been gone a long time, and I'm going to try to hold it together while I explain this. But we used to watch a lot of ESPN together. Am I allowed to mention ESPN on this? Too late, I did. It took him a few years to get the letters right. He called it ESNP from about 1980 to 1983, but he eventually figured it out. We watched sports reporters, and we'd watch the highlights. We'd watch basketball. We'd watch everything on there. And he loved Chris Berman. And Chris Berman's fever dream Super Bowl matchup every year in the 90s was the Bills and the 49ers. So, yeah, the Bills and the 49ers.
That was good.
Man, you should have went last.
Right, I know.
When you know you have something that good, say, I'll go last.
On so many levels, that was good.
Yeah, that was awesome. rematch of Super Bowl 49. I'd love to see Seattle versus New England Patriots, and New England Patriots winning the Super Bowl.
Wow, what a shot.
Yeah, what a shot.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
All those are good. For me, it would be Buffalo and the Rams, just to see Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford go at it. Two of the elite quarterbacks of their generation, I think would be fantastic.
All right.
Mike McDonald would run the ball, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know I got a ring. You got to pick one. You got to
I
pick
gotta pick
one.
one.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Ravens for the same reason that you just want to see Josh Allen playing in a Super Bowl. I'd love to see Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I love Lamar.
I know. I want it so bad. And I
Of
would
course,
love,
Maria only
I would
picks a
love to
winner.
see. Wait, I would love to
No
see the Rams
opponent.
again too, because the last time we did a Super Bowl was in LA, and the Rams won it. So let's run it back. Let's run it back next week, Week 17. We'll be here with you. We actually have a game on Saturday on Peacock at 7:30, and we also have one Sunday night. So you get to hang out with us twice. Make sure you join us and enjoy your Christmas holiday. We appreciate you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.